Alright, what's up, yo? My name is Simbo Lumin. You probably already know that if you're watching this, but I just wanted to take y'all through one of my live mixing sessions just to show y'all that, one, I'm a real person. I'm not AI, though this could be an AI video, but we'll see. And two, is that I handle all my own music. So that's everything from production, writing, recording, mixing, mastering, everything. So I'm gonna be mixing an unreleased song right now that I'm going to be performing at my EP release party over at Catalyst Hip Hop on April 11, 2026, just a day after it's officially released on all streaming platforms. So I'm gonna let y'all listen to this, and then we're going to jump into the mix just so that y'all can get a feel for the type of song that we're, you know, bringing past the finish line. Let me check, do a quick camera check. All right, hopefully y'all could hear this. Let's see. Yeah, hopefully y'all could hear this. All right. Let's gear it up. It's somewhat leveled, but I haven't done all the leveling yet. But without further ado, let's get to it. And by the way, all feedback is encouraged. If you feel like this song is whack as fuck, let me know in the comments. But it's not gonna be. So all feedback is encouraged. Let's get it.
Better know the ledge. Every time I see club, left alone instead. Many nights I reach up, begging as I wept. I'm broken hearted, but I better hold it in. Especially around your questionable intent. Dopamine, I love a chemical to test. Got me checking for a cleanse. My soul is guarded. Ain't nothing like sex to get me motivated. I don't care if X or the fees are dangerous. Feels like an ex on me, can you blame it? That's the same mentality, keep us brainless. Stress for some intimacy, gotta phase it. All that I should do is recirculate it. Why the hell they come at me like this? Where the constantly abyss, but without a need to properly commit. Cause it's on me. What a drag, what a gift, what a quandary. Matter of fact, let us split just a party. I just looking for a fix, another distraction from my why do I exist? These stories that I cling to are no longer for me. Downfalls are no longer hard to foresee. Lust ever be eclipsed, see for men it's for sex, and for women it's revenge. I party there, yeah, nobody knows how to feel like themselves. Man, I know they smoke. She was funny, yeah, how the money goes to trap doors in the nighttime. Not a party where self-destructing at the same time.
Shout out to y'all.
Angels, anxiety, trap doors. Facts though, my whole life had a multitude of masks on. My deepest fears lying dormant in the shadows. Wondering why I can't get over this plateau. I got the priest on speed out through the trap phone, no. Oh, is that so bro? I got traumas, I'm pretending I don't have those though. I'm pretending all I want is to see cash flow grow. But lately I'm on a narrow slope, yeah. If you wanna leave us to roam the fires, you know we will be up till the end of the night. I'm full of cattle, but we still loyal. Treat them like cattle, treat them like homies. I got my reasons for all of my fights. What if I could see what's beyond my sight? I might just stay, I might just go. I fight these eyes alone inside. Do you wanna be up tonight? Chasing bodies, ignoring the demons inside. Pretending we'll be young for life. Only thing higher than freedom, the prize. Time goes by, I ain't going up. My heart is climbed hard, no blind on one.
Alright. So I'm gonna stop it there. It's kind of a long song. Let's just get into the mix, okay? So I'm gonna try to narrate this as much as possible, but without getting too distracted as well. I like to start my mixes with the drums, particularly the kick. That kick needs to hit you in every part of your soul. So that's where we're gonna start. Let me do a quick camera check before I zone out into the mix. Okay, cool. Shout out to y'all for being in the chat. Shout out to you. Is that Mary is the baddie? What's up, baddie? Peace, Mary. All right, let's get to it. Uh-huh. So right now, I just add a quick rolling off. Let me make this a little bigger. I'm not sure how much of my screen y'all can see, but y'all could probably figure what's going on. Now, I'm gonna add Waves SSL G channel strip just to give it that saturation. First thing I'm going to do is push it closer to the red. This meter right here, I'm gonna push it closer to the red to simulate some sort of analog saturation. Let me also back off the compressor. Actually, I don't need any compression through this plugin right now. Y'all feel that, huh? And this is from this, so I handle pretty much 80% of my mixes through this right here. Once I have 80% of the mix dialed in, then I turn it into a stereo image, right? Through using these. And I got that from Mix by Ali. He probably got it from somewhere, I'm not exactly sure, but that's who I got it from. So basically, if you can make your mix sound great in this little thing, you're gonna make it sound excellent in this. Roll off a bit. Roll off a bit of high end. I don't want too much high end being rolled off, but because I do feel like the high end of a kick gives that like trunk rattling type effect, you know? The bassiness is just what it is, the bassiness of it, the thump. But that trunk rattling effect, I think part of it gets from, hey, what's up, Katia? Peace, I appreciate y'all joining. All right, so I'm just breaking down the mix right now. Okay. I think that's about it. So I rolled off a bit at 4,500 hertz. And what I'm going to do now is there's typically, with a kick, there's typically some point between 200 and 300 hertz. That is an average, right? But it could be outside of that, but slightly. Between 200 and 300 hertz, there's this point where it gives it like a really nice body to the kick. Now this kick has a lot of body already, but we need even more body, okay? So we're just gonna boost it, and it's gonna be a sharp. It's not gonna be like a very wide EQ move. It's gonna be pretty sharp and pretty minimal too. So let's try to find that one. All right, I'm gonna start by boosting. You hear that right now? It's way, that body's way exaggerated, but we're gonna tone it down in a bit. We're just finding the frequency. Holy shit! Okay. Ooh. Jeez. All right. So there's that. Plenty of body. Now that's the deeper kick. I have a thumpy kick, right? So the deep kick is the one has most of that sub bass low end information. Obviously there's two kicks. They both have low end information, but the thump kick, I'm going to roll off a bit of the sub information, just a bit though. and accentuates the thumpiness of the kick. That's why I have it, at least in my project, I have it labeled deep kick, right, for the deeper frequencies, and then the thump kick. So let's see. The processing ranges, of course, depending on the mix, but as usual, I process a lot of my drums and instruments the exact same way with the, not the exact same way, but using the exact same plugins, usually in the exact same order, unless there's something dramatic going on in one of the sounds that I really need to change. All right. So you could already hear the difference. Deep kick, and then thump kick. See, very thin, at least comparatively. So it's gonna be a lot of the same thing. We're gonna roll off a bit of the high end, but not a lot. I almost want it to sound blunted like this, but just a little bit. All right, now we're gonna raise. We're gonna find that sub frequency. Okay, lower it. So around 80 hertz, we're lowering it 2.7, negative 2.7, and then that high, why does the word escape me? The low pass filter, that's around around 2600, and it's a generous curve. It's not all the way like a hard wall. It's like a nice slope off, right? So I think, let's see, there's a bit of a boxy frequency that it's not terrible, but I do want to limit it a bit. All right, so around 448, we're doing negative 1.7. Ooh, but now we have a 790, very thumpy. We're gonna limit that a bit, 2.4, negative 2.4 dB. Okay, now we're gonna go deeper. Ooh, that 200. You know what, no, I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save that frequency for the SSL G channel. Again, the exact same plugins that we use for the first kick, we're using for the second one. We're just making different moves. So disabling the compressor, I don't need compression for this right now. Very first thing I do is push this into the red. Now, not all the way to the ceiling, but I want it kissing the red. And that's supposedly because, I say supposedly because who really knows, but I feel like I hear it. When you push it into the red, you get a bit more of the tape saturation that this plugin is supposed to emulate, which gives it a nice sense of harmonic saturation, which is basically a fancy way of saying it gives the sound a sort of color, for lack of a better way of putting it, that you wouldn't be getting if you're not pushing this plugin into the red. See, now we're here. Hear that difference, not just in volume, but to it just sounds like much more aggressive for sure, which is, I always like my mixes to have that contrast between very aggressive slamming drums and nice, smooth, ethereal sounding instruments, like melodic instruments. Let's see how the live is doing. Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you, Katia. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that, for engaging. I appreciate it for sure. All right, first thing we're gonna do, turn this thing down a little bit on my speakers, not in the plugin, but in the speakers. And now I'm going to roll off a bit of the high end. First, I'm gonna do way too much and then start backing off. Okay. All right, I think what I'm gonna do is add a high shelf as well. So gonna exaggerate it first. Ooh. Yeah, not too much. We're rolling off everything above 4800 by 2 dB. And now we're gonna add that same frequency, right, that I was talking about with kicks between 2 and 300 hertz. Let's find that that specific frequency that adds much more body to the kick, especially with a plugin that has tape saturation emulation like this, the analog saturation like this. Oh my, good Lord. Cool. All right, I want to shape it a little bit more, so I'm gonna add another EQ on top of that. And let's find that really boxy frequency that's been bothering me. There you go. 625. Actually, you know what? You know what? Let's make the full use of this plugin. I think I could just lower it here. There you go, 625. Let's go over to 630, let's say. Okay. You hear that? No good, no good. All right, cool. So from here, since we have two kicks, now we need to figure out how to blend them. And they're also bust out. Actually, I don't have things bust out. That is crazy. Let me take a moment to bust everything out, which basically means, that sounds crazy. Hey, yo. So what that basically means is I'm going to send similar instruments into one bus. So for example, these main keys right here that I named them, so That's going to a bus for sure. Actually, let me just play the whole mix from the beginning.
C Club.
Nah, let me not do that. Okay, so I think the main keys is probably going to be the only thing that goes into the bus. And main instruments, that's one bus. Okay. You know what? No, the real piano is going to go into that same bus too. All right, and then we have the supplemental instruments. That's what I call them. Things like that's playing under the. So the supplemental instruments are going to their own bus. And of course, they're going to be processed differently, even if it's just slightly. But for the most part, they belong together. All right, let's see. What's this long beep here? Okay, that's a supplemental instrument that I guess I did not color code correctly, which I will do now. And actually, I should have done this way before. Should have done this way before I even turned on the camera, but this is part of the mix. Okay, now we're going to group all of the perk loops, the percussion loops, things like or things like or right. We're going to add these into their own perk bus. Okay. Now we're adding that fat juicy bass that we have here. And we have 3 different types of bass or 808s in this mix. So we're going to add that to make sure that they all stay very juicy. Okay, from here, it's going to be the kicks, 2 kicks right here. 2 kicks grouped together, great. From here, it's going to be rims, snares, snaps, that sort of thing. That's going to go into a snare bus. Okay, from here, not a lot of hi-hats. The percussion loops are actually doing most of the work, and that was intentional. There's just 2 hi-hats here. But we're going to add those into their separate category and possibly process them similarly to the perks. But we'll get to that. That's when we add other buses or route them into other buses like phasers, delays, reverbs, things like that. So we can all route them into the same reverb even if they're different buses. That's slightly technical, but for those who know, you know. All right, there's more perks over here, so I'm gonna move them so that I don't get confused. And also, they're slightly different colors. All right, perk loops, great. Okay, there's some hi-hats here as well in the second half of the song. The song pretty much transforms throughout the second half of it. So, yeah. From there, I think I'm gonna leave it like that. We haven't routed any vocals yet, but we'll do that once we get to the vocals. Most of the mix is going to be the instruments. The vocals probably, if we need to take into account the entirety of the time block that I will spend mixing songs, and this song in particular, at least based on past experiences, vocals will probably take 30% of the entire mixing session. So most of the mix is going to be the instruments, getting all the instruments right. Okay, so from there, let me see. Quick camera check. Okay, cool. I appreciate you joining, whoever is there. I really do. Appreciate you joining. Appreciate you joining. I do. Feel free to leave a comment and reach out, okay? By the way, this is a song that has been unreleased and I'm going to be performing. If you're in Miami, if you're not in Miami, come here to Miami. No, I'm playing. If you're in Miami, then I'm going to be performing this song at Catalyst Hip Hop, which is a legendary, real hip hop venue. And it's going to be a day after the official release of the Simbo EP on all streaming platforms, which that's going to be April 10th. So the party's going to be April 11th. If you're in Miami, come through. Even if we haven't seen each other, for sure come through. Just be like, yo, I recognize you from the live. Believe me, you will be welcome. There'll be food, all that. So, yeah, let's do it.
All that I.
Oh, wait. So, we're back into the groove of things. So, we left off at the kick. We have 2 kicks here.
And I should do.
Ooh, let me mute all these vocals. We have about 40 different vocal tracks here. Between backgrounds, leads, harmonies. I do a lot of harmonies and backgrounds. I don't consider myself a singer necessarily, but I do consider myself learning how to sing. So I definitely make use of my voice throughout these songs. All right, we're just gonna put this on a loop. So this is the first kick. This is the second kick. Right? One is thumpier, the other one is deeper. So now we need to blend them since they're both being processed under the same kick bus. So first of all, I'm going to level the first kick where I want it to. Right now it's way too loud. Let me check my master bus. It's peaking at negative 4.6. Way too loud right now. For those of you who are learning how to mix, one thing is mix low. Not mix extremely low, but don't get your mix slamming at least while you're mixing. Now, after your mix is done, you can start processing and make it as loud as you want. But while you're mixing, keep it low, because keep in mind, there's almost literally 100 different instruments going on. If they're all slammed to the top, you're gonna get a lot of distortion and a lot of issues throughout the mix. So that's basics, but the greats are the greats because they master the basics. By the way, I'm only mixing through this right now. So 80% of my mix is gonna be done with this trusty thing right here. So I'm gonna lower every instrument about 6 dB. Let's see where the kick is now. The kick is negative 10. We need it a little lower than that. So let's do, we needed a good bit lower than that, just because, okay, now it's negative 14-ish. Fine, we'll start there, right? That's where I want most of my mix to be. Because once we start combining things, like another kick, you can imagine how that could change from negative 14 to negative 8, All right. All right, I'm at a bit of a loss right now because I'm like, ugh, both of these kicks are really strong. One of them needs to not be as strong, at least in the same way. So I didn't mean to say I'm at a bit of a loss, but that's what I'm grappling with right now. So first thing, I just need a level one below the other, right? And then the second thing, you hear how that changed? I'm bringing that thump kick down. But that kick is slamming. Good Lord. All right. Let me take off a bit more high end, a bit more low end through the shelf. Yeah, I think I need to listen to a reference mix right now, at least briefly, so that I can orient my ears to what sounds good. Let's see, reference tracks. I'm thinking something like a Travis Scott thing. Not that I listen to Travis Scott a lot, but that Astroworld album, yeah, at least in terms of production and mixing, it's exemplary for sure. So let's see. How about this one?
Seems like it, yeah. Seems like what?
Nah, most of that song is the bass, not really the kick. Let's see, Womanogamy.
Be a surrogate and carry my kick. I probably give Lonnie cash if she'll really let me hit.
We think she never TD.
And I book.
Oh dang, I completely forgot that YouTube copyright stuff. So, dang. Yeah, let me refrain from that. Cool. All right, let me refrain from that. I appreciate you still being tuned in, whoever you are, sir or madam.
Believe it. Unisex said that.
Okay, so I really just want to listen to this song briefly to hear what the kick is doing in relation to the whole song and in relation to the bass, because this song has a slamming low end.
Just promise me you'll remain anonymous. She said.
Yeah, this one is like that kick is disrespectful. Like, I don't know if you understand what I mean. Like, that kick is just like so we're gonna replicate some of that. This is a more chill song, but we're gonna replicate some of that. Okay. So we rolled off. Nah. Here's what's gonna happen. We low shelved everything from 100 hertz by negative 3.9 on the thump kick, not on the whole kick, but just remember, this kick is two kicks put together. And now I think what we're going to do is add a bit of R bass into the kick. That's gonna be OP for sure. Definitely overpowered. Like, you hear that? That's just like definitely overpowered. But we're going to limit that. And also, we get my frequency charts. So this song is actually, I should have had this already done too. But this song, I need to figure out what key this song is in. By the way, I produced this song, so I should know these things. But unless I write it down, it's not gonna happen. So let me grab my guitar real quick and figure out the key to this song. Un momento. All right. And there's a key switch here. So the first half of the song is in I'm like forgetting music right now. It's E, F, F sharp, G. Okay, so it's in G major. That's the first half of the song. G major slash, what is that, relative minor, because that is important. G major, E minor, E minor. All right, and then it's G, A, B, C, D, E, F. And what are the notes to this? This one actually has one sharp, which is the F. Okay, fair enough. I like to know the keys to my songs for sure. I know that you're supposed to use your ears and whatnot, but to some extent I like using frequency charts. It's not for every move, but especially for bass where fundamental frequencies are important, yeah, I like using that as a guide at least. Okay, let's figure out the second half. There's a good bit of modulation on the second half, so. And then another key switch. Good lord. Okay, so the first and second half are actually the same key, which is surprising because I made them sound very, very different. Very, very different. So, but now there's another modulation here, so it's, or another key switch. so I could find the key. That D string is a little detuned, so. All right, so it's B major. Cool. So now we can continue with the rest of Le Mix. And you know what? I do have to say my apologies. I should have had the routing and the keys to the song figured out before I even started the camera. But this is the first live, so give me some grace. That'll be figured out next time for sure. All right, ending switch. B major, el B mayor, B major, and B major's relative minor is G sharp menor. So that's B, C, D, F, G. I almost forgot the alphabet. I'll be rapping a little bit, but I forget the alphabet sometimes. All right, so, and that has 5 sharps. So the only thing that's not sharp is E and B. Interesting. E and B. Cool. Let me make sure that the second half of this song is really in the same, because the switch that happens, it really makes it feel like a different key. So like, listen to this. It's like, whoa. Like, what's going on there? So it definitely sounds eerie, but okay, so G. All right, so that first half is definitely G major. Let's talk about the second half. Yup, it's definitely G major. It just has different, it's modulating to different places. So it's using, I think it's called modal interchange. I'm not a music theory buff like that, right? I do what I can. I do what I can. All right, let's see. All right, let's continue with the rest of the mix, focusing on the kick. That kick is crazy. Yeah, that R bass is just, it's way too much. It's way too powerful. I'm taking that back. But what I am going to do is use that SSLG channel strip to boost everything from 55 and below by 2.2. That may even be too much, because this thing just is the amount of body on this kick is disrespectful. It's just it has no regard for you, you know? All right. So I think it's pretty cool right now. Let me mute the thump kick. Add thump kick back in. Yeah. Yeah, it's giving the thumpiness that I needed, right? The higher end mid-range attack that I needed. Okay, now we're going to process them just lightly equal, probably not lightly EQ. Let's see. So this is EQing both of these kicks together through the kick bust. All right, first thing, think of a bit of high end roll off. A little bit. Very subtle. Makes it feel a little bit muffled like this. I like that with a kick. I don't like the kick to dominate the whole spectrum. I know some people like that. But it's for me, it just creates more problems later on. So I like to, you know, something has to give. Something has to lose. And I prefer the kick to dominate the lower, definitely the lower end for sure. But not entirely the subs, right? Like below 60 hertz, that sort of thing. But I also don't want it to dominate the mid-range. You know, like it's going to have some presence in the mid-range for sure, but dominating the mid-range, like that's a lot of where the vocal lives. You know what I mean? So yeah, something has to give. That's just my way. Of course, there's probably millions of other ways to do it. All right. So now I feel like I have the kick in a decent enough space. So I'm going to solo. Actually, I'm going to just play this song while I use the restroom real quick. And make sure that the kick isn't obnoxious right now, so that y'all can have something to be entertained by.
Kick was brainless, dressed for some intimacy, gotta phase it. All that I should do is breathe, circulate it.
And never mind. I need to bring this. You know what? Actually, no. Let me just do this real quick. Let me bring every vocal down by a significant margin.
Why the hell they gonna make me like this? Where the girls and people pissed, but we gotta need to properly commit. Cause it's on me. What a drive, what a gift, what a quandary. Matter of fact, I just played just a party. I just looking for a fix, not a distraction from.
It's not leveled yet. You know what? You know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just going to play the instrumental for y'all. Because the vocals are causing too much problems right now. Give me a sec. apologize to y'all for not being very entertaining, but I'm not the get on live and jump up and down and like that sort of thing. I'm gonna show you the process. So for those that want to stick with me, that's what we're doing, right? And in a few years, people are gonna be like, "Yo, remember Simbo used to be on live on YouTube breaking down his own mixes? Like that is so cool. The mixes that are now like multi-platinum and all that, like he was breaking those down. So yeah. On top of the fact that he does it himself, right? So yeah, let's do that. All right. Okay, now we're going to focus on the snare. There's three snares or three snare like there's really a rim, a snap, and a snare. So we're gonna focus on the rim right now. And we're actually going to mix it. You know, I'm gonna mix it by itself right now, and then somewhere down the line, I'm going to add the kick to see where it fits in relation to it. Okay, overall, love the rim sound. It has that bite to it, for sure. Let me roll off a bit of high end. Just a bit. So we're doing a generous roll off. By generous, I don't mean a lot. I guess that's a lack of a better way of putting it. But we're not doing a hard wall roll off. We're doing a nice sloped roll off. Everything from 135 and below. We're also doing a slight roll off. Everything from almost 1100 and above. We're doing a bit of a boost at 500 at 1.4 dB. A bit of another boost at around 1700 for 1.5. Another boost at around 4500 for 1.7. So nothing crazy. We're not doing EQ moves like this all the way and shit. Like that's not. If you select your sounds good, then I don't think you need to be boosting like that. There's some people who really like that, but you know, we're producers, we're all using hyper processed sound packs and things like that. So a lot of this mixing was already done for us to make it sound at least very decent, you know? So at this point, it's just fitting it into the mix that I have. All right, same thing. So we EQ'd it. Now we're going to put it into the SSLG channel strip. And we're going to push it into the red. Okay, cool. Just not all the way to the ceiling, but kissing it. Just into the red. It just got there. It has both feet in, but whew, all right, so my live did not stop, and that's great. How do I even post this? Oh my God, I feel like an old man. How do I even post this? How do I go unlive, YouTube? Can we go unlive? Like, oh Lord. Okay. Let me see. No, not copy link. Jesus H. Sure you want to stop streaming? Yeah. Let's stop it for now.